Have you ever noticed your mind just racing so super fast that you can't make sense of anything, and then you can't focus on what you're trying to do, and you just start feeling really overwhelmed? Sometimes this ends in a panic attack. Sometimes it's just like cloudiness in your brain or just frustration. But anytime you're feeling really overwhelmed, a lot of times it can be anger or just anxiety in general, you can use a grounding technique to kind of bring your brain back to focus. So your brain is basically a balance of emotion and logic. Way more complicated than that, but for now we're just gonna simplify it. And you are balancing this all the time to work optimally. But sometimes when your brain registers some kind of safety issue, and it doesn't have to be physical safety, it can be emotional safety or anything like that, it then starts feeding the emotional part of your brain. And in order to give more power to the emotional part of the brain to keep you safe through your fight or flight system, it takes away the power from your logical part of your brain. Just kind of borrows that energy. But then you don't always get to make sense. This was really helpful when we were like cavemen and our biggest danger was running away from bears or things like that. But now our biggest issues is like conflict with people, where we actually need to use reason and rationality to make our argument. And we don't need to run away from a bear or punch it. And so it doesn't really serve us as well. So we have to work really hard to calm the emotions down when we get overwhelmed and then use our logic. So a way you can do this is through grounding. And grounding is a weird name just for kind of recentering yourself. Just the idea that you're bringing awareness back to the ground to hear reality right now. Because a lot of times what your emotions are doing are thinking about things that might happen in the future, thinking about things that happened in the past, and you just need to be in this moment solving this problem right now. So ways we do that is we activate that logical part of your brain, the fact-based part of your brain. And if you think about it, if you're running from a bear, who cares what color the leaves are on the tree or what foot you start with or, any of those facts that what kind of tree it is. We just need to get out of there. So your brain isn't focusing on those things. But if we put facts back in, then we can refocus and get back to that balance. So one of my favorite ways to ground is through your senses. So looking around the room and naming 5 things that you see, 4 things that you hear, 3 things that you feel, and that's like tactile. So like I can feel this chair, I can feel the air conditioning, I can feel this hair tickling my face. Those kind of things, not like mad or angry. And then 2 things that you smell and 1 thing that you taste. The numbers aren't that important, but it's just hard to, taste 5 things at a time. So it kind of helps to answer the questions if you do it in that order. It also is really helpful if you say them out loud. Not necessary, because obviously if you're like in a boardroom making a big argument with coworkers, starting to name, a green plant, a gray chair will kind of would people out. But if you are by yourself, that adds another layer of giving that power back to the logic. But when you do that, you're basically making your brain focus on facts and sensories. And that can be really helpful in getting out of the emotions. Another helpful one is categories. So I really like cereal. So I can sit there and name, Lucky Charms, Fruity Pebbles, Cheerios, and just name as many as I can. And again, not only am I going back in my memories, but I'm also thinking about facts. And if I say them out loud, I am making my brain communicate my memories through my mouth. And that distracts it even more from the emotions. And you can keep doing these things over and over. Getting up and walking around and feeling the ground on your feet. Going outside and feeling either the super hot or the cold, or rain is even better. I know some things aren't always that practical, especially if you've got to walk back into work. Having your whole outfit drenched isn't always a great idea. But you know what I mean. You can pick scenarios or different options for different times. You can also Google grounding techniques and find some that might fit you a little bit better. But the whole goal is basically to re-engage that balance so that you aren't just spouting out things that you don't mean or that don't really make sense, and you think that you're making such a great argument and then turns out you are nonsensical. But more than anything, it gets you back in control of you.